Okay, here's your systems of equations review, which we had done before break, and there's actually the assessment's got 6 problems. This one here has 8 that we're going to go over. Got this kind of verification. These are open notes. They can be used on a test, and I'm going to let you use one of these packets as open notes because a lot of it's giving a test the first Friday after break. I know that's kind of cheap, so that's what I'm going to do to make up for that. Okay, so you need to keep this handy, and there's another packet I'll let you use on the test. It is not going to be this one, though, but you do need to take notes on this one. Okay, y, some number y is equal to another number x minus 2, and then that same number y is also equal to negative 3 times x plus 2. I got to find, okay, so what would x and y be? Well, you can't really just guess it because there's no way to do that. So the first way is by graphing, which is what you need to do here. Cross this out. You don't use that. So as I can see, there's 2 ways to graph. If the y is by itself, we can input 0, 1, 2 for x, and then I know what y will equal. And then if y is not by itself, I can insert 0 for x and 0 for y, and then just pretty much divide and get my answers. So looking like both of these right here, the y is by itself on both, so I need 2 tables, and with both of them, we're going to be putting in the 0, 1, and 2. So we're going to go right here. Okay, so I'm going to take 0 minus 2, that's negative 2. I'm going to put a 1 in, 1 minus 2 is negative 1, and then if I put a 2 in, 2 minus 2 is 0. Okay, now let's do the other one. So negative 3 times 0 plus 2 is 2. Negative 3 times 1, negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Then negative 3 times 2 is negative 6 plus 2. Wait a second, I think I screwed that. That's negative 1. And this one's going to be negative 4. Okay, so graph them separately. So I've got 0, negative 2. And then I've got 1, negative 1. So right 1, down 1. And then I go 2, 0, which is just 2. And then I just graph those. Okay, now I graph my second line on the same graph, 0, 2, okay, 1, negative 1. Okay, so there's already a point there, so circle it, okay, circle it, and then 2, negative 4. So write 2 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. Okay, I can see where they cross right here. So what point is that? Well, I'm 1 to the right, so x has to be positive 1. And then I'm down 1, so y is negative 1. So there it's solved. Okay, now we're not going to be graphing. We're going to be using other techniques to solve. Now, when I don't give you a graph, you use one of 2 things. You can use substitution, which is used when we have to have an isolated variable, x or y. It's got to be on one side of the equals, nothing else with it. Or if we don't have that isolated variable, we need to use elimination. So I have y equals 2x minus 7. Well, right there I have an isolated variable with the y. Okay, so I am going to use my substitution method, not the elimination. So if you forgot how to use substitution, here's what you do. You box your isolated variable, and we're going to put a bubble on the other side of the equation. And then all other variables, except the one in the box, have to be covered with a number. So we box that one, bubble the other side. Now, that one's, I don't want a 1, but that one I need something in front of. I have a 2. That one I'm going to need a 1, and that one already has a 2, so we're good there. Just make sure you cover all your other variables except this one. I want that not to have a 1. Now, I copy the other equation and circle the box variable. So I'm going to write my other equation, which is 1x plus 2y equals 1. And then circle your box variable, which is y. You got to circle the right one. Now you're going to replace the circled variable with a parentheses and then extend it. So I have 1x plus 2 parentheses equals 1. Now extend that parentheses further so you can fit inside. Now fill it in with the expression in the bubble, which is 2x plus negative 7. Just put it as plus negative. Okay, solve for your first variable. The variable I have is x. There's an x and an x, so it's still equal to 1, but I got to do some rainbows here. So 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. And then I also have my 1x right there. Okay. So I have a 4x and a 1x. I need to just add those right there. Okay. Don't try to balance anything out there on the same side. So 4 plus 1 is 5. So I have 5x plus the negative 14 and then the 1. Then it's all academic from there. I add 14. And then 5 times x equals 15. Then divide both sides by 5. And my first answer is 3. Okay. The hard work's done. Now, put that answer in the bubble and solve for the second. Okay, so you just put 3 in this bubble here, and we're going to be taking 2 times 3 minus 7. And that's negative 1. Okay, so the system's been solved. X equals 3, y is negative 1. Okay, x equals 16 minus 4y. Well, right away, there's that x isolated. So again, I'm going to be using substitution. So do as said, box your isolated variable, put a bubble on the other side of the equation, and now make sure all other variables except this one are covered. So I have a 4, a 3, and a 4, so we're good there. Copy the other equation, circle the box variables. So the other equation is 3x plus 4 times y, 4y, equals 8. Okay, replace the circled variable, circle the box variable, so x. And then you need to make that into a parentheses. You got to keep the 4y and the 8, okay? Now extend that so it goes out further. Because I need to fill it in with this 16 plus negative 4y. Okay, now I can solve for y since I have 2 y's now in the equation. So equals 8. Okay, distribute rainbows. 3 times 16 is 48, and 3 times negative 4y is negative 12y plus 4y. Okay, so again, the y's right here, we're just going to add those together because they're on the same side. So I just add negative 12 plus 4, and that's negative 8y, plus my 48 equals 8. So I minus 48, I minus 48, and I have negative 40 now over here, and over here I've got negative 8y. So then I divide by negative 8, which equals 5. So y is 5, so it's y that is 5. Let's go put this in. Well, if you want to do it in your head, you take 4 times 5 is 20, and 16 minus 20 is negative 4. If you want your calculator, you can take 16 minus 4 times 5. It's going to be negative 4. Okay, and the system's now been solved for. Okay, next one. 4x plus 3y equals 2. 5x plus 3y equals negative 2. Well, there ain't any variable that's isolated here, so we have to go to our elimination method. First, I see if you have a common absolute value. That means the same number, but it could be positive or negative as long as it has the same absolute value. If yes, make sure they're opposite signs. And then we'll be able to cross out, and you have your first answer after adding. Okay? So we need to see if we have a common absolute value. Well, that 4 and 5 are not common, but those two are. but they have to be opposite signs, okay? So what I do is I just change all the signs on the bottom. I'm really just multiplying by -1 down here, which means all the signs will just become opposites. So that'll become a -5, become a -3, and that 2 that's a negative now switches to +2, okay? Now what I do is just add the equations together. 3 plus -3 is 0, so we shouldn't even be writing y down here because they canceled out. And then I add 4 plus -5, that's -1x. And then I take 2 plus 2, that's 4. So I divide by -1, and x equals -4. So when I start with a common absolute value, we do that stuff, and then we're going to skip down to step 4, okay? Step 2 and 3 are for when I don't have that common absolute value, but I did, so I go from step 1 to step 4. Write any equation. Take out the letter you have an answer for and put it in. Okay, so I can pick any equation. Let's pick the top one. Let's just write 4x plus 3y equals 2. And I don't need x there anymore because I know x is -4. So just put -4, and then I want you to circle that. Okay. Multiply. So what do I have to multiply? 4 and -4. So it's -16 plus 3y, and then 2. Then it becomes academic from there. I plus 16. I plus 16. So 3 times y is 18. Then I divide by 3. And 18 divided by 3 is 6. Okay. Okay, next one. 6x plus 5y equals 19. 2x plus 3y equals 5. So again, I don't have a letter, so we can't use substitution. We have to use elimination. That's why I write EL. See if you have a common absolute value. If yes, make sure they're opposite signs. Cross out, and you have your first answer pretty much after you add the equations together. Well, I don't have that common absolute value here, like I did with those 3's up here. So I need to look at step 2. Multiply each equation by the other x coefficient. What that means is here we have a multiplier, a coefficient of 2. So I'm going to take these all times 2, all 3 of them. Here I have a 6. I'm going to take these all times 6. So now I have a new equations here. So 6x times 2 is 12x. 5y times 2 is 10y, and then 19 times 2 is 38. Okay, the bottom, 12x plus 18y, then 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, now, again, make sure your signs are opposite on the common absolute value. And then we'll cross out, and then we'll get our first answer after we add and divide. I should put that down, but everybody here is smart enough to see that, okay? Well, they're not opposites. That's where, so I got to go negative, 18's negative, and 30's negative, and now it's time to add. Those cancel. I don't want to see x down there at all, not even 0x. Don't even put it. So 10 plus -18 is -8y, and then 38 plus -30 is 8. And then, of course, you have to divide. 8 divided by -8 is -1, and that's your y value. Okay. Now, step 4, write any equation, take out the letter you have your answer for, and put it in. So let's just go with the very first equation. 6x plus 5y equals 19. And we have an answer for y, so get rid of that and then circle that. Because it says multiply, those are the two numbers you have to multiply, which is -5, we've still got the 6x, and we've got 19. So I plus 5, so 6x equals 24, and then divide by 6, and 24 divided by 6 gives me my answer of 4. Okay, hopefully that sheet helps. Now we're going to do some story problems. I've got some kind of strategies here. Now I actually got two sides to this. This one is for, if I don't have a percent with 3 units, this is going to be the one we use. But if I have a percent, a mixture of percents, we're going to go to the back side and think of it that way. Okay. In 1 week, a music store sold 9 guitars for a total of $3,611. Electric guitars sold for $479 each, and, sorry about my typing, acoustic guitars sold for $339 each. How many of each type of guitar were sold? So I need to find the acoustic and the electric, and I got 3 units, so don't draw these boxes on the side. It's not a profit problem, so don't use that, okay? You're just going to make your little table. It's a units table, so total and total. How many and single. Now, as you can see on my sheet, I have quotation marks. That means you got to put your units in those. So I have electric guitars, acoustic guitars, and money. So electric and acoustic are kind of fit together. And then the money's kind of its own unit. So money single, money total. So how much does a single electric guitar cost? If you buy one of them, how much does it cost? So $479. Put a dollar sign because only money amounts go here. Only non-money amounts go here. If it's not a money quantity, it belongs here. And we'd fill that row out later. Okay, and again, you'll fill in your first 4, and we'll put question marks for things we don't know. And then the acoustics we know are $339 each. Okay, now I don't know how many electric. I see the 9, but it's not electric or acoustic. So if they don't tell me that that's either one, we put that right there. Okay, now fill in the bottom right. Bottom right's your money total. We know that that's $3,611. So we're good so far. Now cross out all the values you've used. You've used $479, you've used $339, and you've used $3,611. Well, that leaves us with one final value, which is 9. Now, what you need to worry about for this week, is a 9 a total for the unknowns, or is it a more than? Okay? Well, it doesn't say more than, so it's a total. If you know that that's a total right away, put X, Y. That's all you got to do. Because what that means is you're just going to put X, Y, and 9. Means there's how many? We know there's 9 total. Again, total. So if I had a total of 20, I'd put X and Y. Okay? And then I can just multiply 479X and 339Y. Now, does the bottom row have the same variable? If yes, we're just going to add them together and it'll be easy to solve the equation. But if no, we're going to make a cross and do a system elimination. Well, unfortunately for us, they're different. So I need a system where I use elimination. And I'm going to use the top row and the bottom row as my equations. I know that X plus Y equals 9. You're going to want to put some 1s there. And then 479X plus 339Y equals 3,611. Okay, so we're using the elimination technique. I do not have a common absolute value, so I need to take 479, 479, and 479, then 111. So 1x times 479 is 479x. 1y times 479 is 479y. Then I need to go to my calculator. I need to take 9 times 479, and that's 4,311. Now, a lot of people do forget to, they'll just leave that 9. You can't. You got to change the whole equation. And the bottom, 479x plus 339y equals 3611. Now, here's my common absolute value, but they got to be opposites. So these all go negative, and you have to remember that that's a negative 2. So when I do the adding, I got to remember that we add the negatives. If you take 479, you got to take it plus negative 339. It's got to be negative. So that's going to be 140 times y. And then 4,311 plus negative 3,611. Remember, that's got to be negative, that second number. I saw some of you would always forgot to do that. That's 700. And it's time to divide. I will have my first answer. So 700 divided by 140 is 5, actually. Okay, now Y is the acoustic, so that's your acoustic guitars. Now pick any equation. Let's go with this one. It's easy. 1x plus 1y equals 9. And put your 5 in for y. Just scribble it out and put 5 in. Circle those. Now multiply, you get 5 plus the 1x and then 9. So I minus 5, that's going to be 4. And I don't even need to divide because it's just a 1. So 5 acoustic, 4 electric. Makes sense. Okay, I actually want to skip this next one. I'm going to come back to it. That's going to be the last one I do. And then I want to look at this adult pass. Go to that one. It's your last one in the pro. An adult pass for a county fair costs $2 more than a children's pass does. When 378 adult and 214 children's passes were sold, our total revenue is $2,384. Find the cost of each type of pass. So again, let's get our box here, because we know we have 3 units. I got adults passes, children's passes, and the money. So total, how many single, and then we fill in the rest. We have adults and children's would kind of go together, and then there's the dollars for single and dollars for total. So we'll fill in the first 4. Remember, put question marks if you don't know it. So do I know the cost of one single adult pass? No, I don't. Just because it says it's $2 more than a children's pass, that doesn't mean I know how much one costs. So question mark. Then I don't know the children either. So how many adults? Remember, how many means not money. How many do you have? So adults, you got 378. Children, 214. Okay, then let's go fill in the bottom right, 2,384. Now cross out all the values that we've used. So 378, 214, and there. Well, that leaves me with a final value of $2, but I got to ask myself, is it $2 more or is it a $2 total? Well, it says more, clearly. So when it says more, right away you need to put x plus 2, okay? If it says more than, that's what more than of an unknown means in algebra. Put x plus a number. And that would be for the adults because they cost 2 more, so x plus 2. Now, since I put a plus 2 there, this could be just x. We should not be putting y at all on this table. Now it's time to multiply. But when you multiply with this plus, not only do you have to take 378 times x, you also have to take 378 times 2, and then 214 times x. So 378 times x is 378x. Then you write plus, because in that box you still got to take 378 times 2, and that's 756. So in this box I should have 378x plus 756. Then we have 214x. Now, does the bottom row have the same variable? Well, there's x and there's x. Yes, they do. So what I want to do is just add them. I don't need to make the system, okay? So I'm equal to 2,384. I'm just going to plus the x's. So 378 plus 214 is 592. Okay, and I also have that 756. You can't forget about him. And then you just, easy to solve. So I minus 756 from both sides. 2,384 minus 756 gives me 1,628. And then we have 592x. Okay, and we divide. Remember to divide by the x coefficient. So 1628 divided by 592. And I got 2.75. Okay, so that's just plain old x. So that was our children. So the cost of a children's pet shouldn't say student. I screwed up. That should say children. That's going to be $2.75. Now you're like, do I have to plug that in? Where do I plug it in at? You don't plug it in. You use your more than number. If you know the other one's 2 more, you just add it. So I'm going to put add 2. And that's 475. A lot of people get that first answer and they're like, well, I got to plug it in. No, okay? When it gives it more than, you just add it on. You don't need to plug that in anywhere. Okay, now let's go to our last problem. 2 items at a store cost a combined $200. If item A is marked on sale for 25% off and item B is on sale for 30% off, the combined price goes down to $142.50, but that's combined, not separate. Find the cost of each item separately when it was not on sale. So you got to take that 200 and kind of separate the cost. That's where this comes in handy right here. It's going to be a 9-box kind of tic-tac-toe-y thing, but the labels are a little different, okay? You're going to put total right there, and then the money original, and then a percent sign, and then not money total, you're just going to put money change, okay? The change in the money, how much it changed. So let's talk about this. Well, I don't know these two separately, and I'll just put items A and B here, whatever they are. I don't know that, and I don't know that, so X and Y. We know our percents, and that's going to be 25%, but that's 0.25 if you have to use it, and then the 30%, so 0.30. And we'll take those out. We know what those are. Now, what does a percent cause? What's a percent cause a price to do? It can cause it to go up. It can cause it to go down. I need to find out how much it went down, and to find that, we need to take our two prices and minus. So 200 minus 142.50. That gave me 57.5. Okay, now what you're going to have to do then is fill this in. It's your original total. Well, the original total is $200. That's how much total you started with before the price went down. And then what that means, and I don't use 142.50 at all except for the subtraction down there. We don't put that in a cell on the table. Because that means that 25% of X, which is 0.25X, and 30% of Y, which is 0.30Y, make that price go down by 57.50. So then you need to use system elimination. So here's my two equations. So we have X plus Y equals 200, and then 0.25X plus 0.30Y equals 57.5. Okay, and then we obviously don't have the common absolute values, so I need to multiply by 0.25, 0.25, not 25, 0.25, and then 1, 1, 1. So 1 times 0.25, that's 0.25x. When you take something times 1, it's just this factor here, plus 0.25y, and I don't even care if it's a decimal. Then I take 200 times 0.25, and that gives me 50. Okay, what's going on in the bottom? Well, just you're timesing by 1, so that's 0.25x plus 0.30y, 57.5. Now, here's my common absolute value, but they have to be the opposite, so it's negative, negative, negative. Now it's time to add. So when I add these, it becomes 0, guaranteed. Don't even put X. Okay, so I take 0.25 plus negative 0.30, just like that, and you need to write negative 0.05. You can't short circuit it. You got to write what the calculator gives you. And then 50 plus negative 57.5 is negative 7.5. Now it's time to divide, and when you divide, you got to copy that entire number. Negative 0.05, negative 0.05. Okay, so I take negative 7.5 divided by negative 0.05, and my first answer is $150. Okay, so that's item B, that costs $150. Now take your very first equation, 1x plus 1y equals 200, and we know the y is 150. You got to multiply. If you're wondering, well, what do I multiply? You scribble it out, then circle that, the number that was in front of your variable. 150 plus 1x, okay? And 1x equals 50. Okay, hopefully that brought back some memories. We will be working on that the next 3 days. You guys got to identify points that you're confused about or something I'm explaining that's not understandable.